Imagine the darkest night, in the middle of nowhere where the only sign of civilization is an isolated gas station. The lonely gas station, a beacon of light in a sea of darkness, stands as the sole testament to human presence in the desolate landscape. Its eerie silence is broken only by the occasional gust of wind, or the distant hoot of an owl. An old, dilapidated building, it seems to have lived past its glory days, now standing as a relic of a bygone era. Into this desolate scene arrives our protagonist, a young woman alone and anxious. Her car, almost out of gas, hiccups its way to the station, its headlights cutting through the darkness like two bright eyes, searching for solace in the bleak night. The woman steps out, her apprehension palpable in the cold night air. Her gaze flits nervously around the empty gas station, the dimly lit corners casting long, menacing shadows that seem to dance and flicker with every passing moment. Behind the counter sits the gas station employee, a middle-aged man with a grizzled beard and an expressionless face. He offers the woman a hollow smile, his eyes devoid of any warmth. His request, simple yet unsettling, hangs heavy in the air. "Pay first," he says, his voice echoing through the silent night. The woman obliges, her hands trembling slightly as she hands over the money. The gas station, seemingly ordinary yet subtly off-kilter, holds a sense of foreboding. The flickering lights, the deserted surroundings, the mysterious employee, all add to an atmosphere that's thick with dread. The woman, all alone in this desolate place, can't help but feel the chill of fear creeping up her spine. As she starts to pump gas into her car, the quiet night around her seems to close in, amplifying her sense of unease. The dimly lit corners and the cold, indifferent gaze of the gas station employee send a chill down her spine. Little does she know, this is just the beginning of her nightmarish encounter at the lonely gas station. As she starts pumping gas, an unsettling silence surrounds her. The hum of the pump is the only sound breaking the quiet of the night, a stark contrast to the deafening silence. Suddenly the hum ceases, the lights flicker, and everything plunges into a deep, impenetrable darkness. The quiet stretch of the night is shattered by a scream, piercing the air like a knife. It's the protagonist, her voice echoing through the pitch-black void around her. The darkness is a heavy, suffocating blanket wrapping itself around every corner of the gas station. The power outage is abrupt and absolute, leaving her isolated in an ocean of darkness. She stands frozen, her heartbeat pounding in her ears like a wild drum. Every noise is amplified, every rustle is a potential threat. The once mundane gas station transforms into a maze of unknown terrors, and then as suddenly as it disappeared, the power returns. The lights flicker back on, casting long, eerie shadows that dance around the gas station. The hum of the pump resumes, a monotonous drone that seems louder in the aftermath of the blackout. As her eyes adjust to the sudden brightness, she looks towards the gas station building. The employee, the middle-aged man with the hollow smile, is sitting behind the counter, seemingly undisturbed by the power outage. His expression is as blank as before, his gaze focused on the distance. It's as if the blackout, her screams, the terror-filled moments of darkness, none of it ever happened. The contrast is jarring, the normalcy of the scene at odds with the fear still coursing through her veins. She can't shake off the feeling of being watched, of being trapped in a nightmare that's only just begun. But all she can do now is pump the gas, her eyes darting towards the dimly lit corners of the gas station. As the lights flicker back on, the gas station employee is sitting as if nothing happened. The normalcy is a facade, the silence a harbinger of the horrors yet to unfold. Opening, with a sense of unease growing within her, she decides to use the restroom. As she steps into the restroom, the flickering fluorescent light does little to dispel the gnawing dread. The room is shrouded in a grim, eerie silence that amplifies the echo of every drop falling from the leaky faucet. The smell of mildew and old cleaning products fills her nostrils, a stark contrast to the desolate, untouched appearance of the restroom. Her own reflection in the mirror seems distorted, a stranger's face staring back at her. Suddenly the light flickers violently, casting long, foreboding shadows that seem to dance menacingly around her. A chill runs down her spine. She shakes off the feeling of terror, reminding herself that it's just her imagination playing tricks on her. But then, just as she's about to turn away, she sees it. An apparition manifests in the mirror, a specter with a bloodied, contorted face. Its eyes, devoid of any life, bore into hers, and a silent scream tears from its mouth. The face is a grotesque caricature of human features, a sight so terrifying it freezes her in place. The blood drains from her face, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She wants to scream, to run, but fear has her rooted to the spot. She can't tear her gaze away from the horrifying image in the mirror. It's as if the apparition has her in some sort of trance. But then, the spell breaks. The survival instinct kicks in and she bolts. She stumbles out of the restroom, her heart pounding in her chest, the chilling image of the apparition branded into her mind. The once mundane gas station has now turned into a house of horrors, and she is the unwilling guest. She sprints out of the restroom, her heart pounding in her chest, the chilling image of the apparition branded into her mind, closing. She sprints out of the restroom, her heart pounding in her chest. Opening. She rushes to seek help from the gas station employee, only to find his chair empty. A sudden chill runs down her spine as she gazes at the vacant chair. The dim, flickering light from the overhead bulb casts eerie shadows that dance around the room, amplifying her sense of dread. The once mundane gas station now feels like a labyrinth of fright, each corner hiding a nameless terror. The silence is deafening, broken only by the hum of the electric lights and her own ragged breaths. The absence of the employee is more terrifying than his presence. She calls out, her voice echoing in the surrounding emptiness, but there is no response. The gas station, which was once a refuge, has turned into a haunted playground for the unseen. A chilling wind blows through the open door, sending papers flying from the counter. She jumps at the sudden movement, her heart pounding in her chest. The shadows seem to grow darker, the silence louder, and the gas station more desolate. She's alone, utterly and completely alone. Out of nowhere, a blood-curdling screech pierces the silence. It's a sound straight out of a nightmare, a symphony of terror that reverberates through her bones. She spins around, her eyes wide with terror, as an unearthly figure materializes in the dim light. A spectral apparition, its face a grotesque mask of terror, launches towards her. She stumbles back, her heart hammering against her chest as the figure lunges at her. It's the embodiment of every fear she's ever had, every nightmare she's ever experienced. Her breath catches in her throat, her terror so palpable she can taste it. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the figure vanishes, leaving behind a chilling echo of its presence. She's left standing in the heart of darkness, her only companion the echoing silence. The gas station employee is nowhere to be found, vanished into thin air. Closing. She's trapped in a nightmare, with an evil spirit and no one to turn to for help. In a desperate attempt to escape, she runs to her car, but it fails to start. The engine sputters and gasps, refusing to come to life. Her heart pounds in her chest, a frantic drum echoing the ticking time bomb of her situation. A chill wind whistles through the deserted gas station, carrying with it an eerie whisper. The air grows dense, heavy with a malevolent presence that begins to creep ever closer. The evil spirit, a ghastly apparition, begins its slow, tormenting approach. Its blood-curdling visage reflects off the car window, growing larger and more terrifying with each passing second. The atmosphere brims with an unshakable dread, the silence of the night punctuated only by the protagonist's shallow, frantic breaths and the relentless advance of the evil spirit. Just when hope seems lost, the gas station employee reappears from the shadows. His face is a mask of grim determination, a stark contrast to the hollow smile he'd worn earlier. It's as though he's seen this play out countless times, each one ending in the same inevitable tragedy. He strides over to the car, his boots crunching on the gravel, and bends over the engine. His hands, rough from years of toil, work quickly and surely. The engine roars to life, a mechanical beast awakened from its slumber. But as he straightens up, he turns to the protagonist with a grimace that sends shivers down her spine. "Leave town," he warns her, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken horrors. "And don't you dare look back." With a stern warning from the employee, she finally manages to start her car. She peels out of the gas station, leaving behind the eerie specter and the haunted gas station employee. The road ahead is dark and uncertain, but it's a path she must take, her only chance at survival in this nightmarish tale. Opening. As she speeds away from the gas station, she can't shake off the feeling of being watched. In the heart-pounding aftermath of her ordeal, our protagonist, fear still etched on her face, watches the gas station disappearing in her rearview mirror. The road ahead is shrouded in darkness, the only illumination coming from her car's headlights cutting through the inky black night. But a palpable sense of unease still clings to her, cold as the night air whipping past her open window. Her eyes dart nervously to the mirror, a grim reminder of the apparition she had encountered earlier. The same mirror now reflects the backseat of her car, an empty space save for the lingering shadows that dance with the movement of the car. And then, a horrifying realization strikes. An ethereal presence manifests itself in the back seat, a chilling echo of the bloodied, creepy face she had seen in the restroom mirror. A gasp escapes her lips, her knuckles turning white as they grip the steering wheel tighter. The road blurs in front of her as her eyes remain glued to the horrifying spectacle unfolding in the mirror. The evil spirit, seemingly unbound by the confines of the haunted gas station, has hitched a ride with her, breaching the sanctuary of her escape vehicle. A silent scream tears through her mind, the chilling presence in her backseat a stark reminder of the horror she thought she had left behind. Her heart races, thudding in her chest like a drum. She pushes the pedal to the floor, her car roaring in response. The spirit, however, remains unfazed, its eerie, bloodied face glowing ominously in the mirror. She can feel its cold gaze piercing through her, a silent predator toying with its prey. As the miles stretch on, the ghostly presence continues to haunt her, a constant reminder of the terror that lurks even in the most mundane places. The haunted gas station fades into a distant memory, but the horror is far from over. Closing. And just like that, the horror continues, even as she leaves the haunted gas station behind.